I'm telling you, The View's in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble, guys. A lot of trouble. The Charlamagne, or whatever his name is, he's a radio host. He went on this week and he looks at Joy Behar. He looks at her in the face. You know, they've had so many legal issues. They have to now have somebody who sits in the control room to just fact check them somehow, some way. I mean, they're very hard to fact check, right? Because there's a lot of untruths that go on to that show, but they now have an effort underway to have a legal note read. And so Charlemagne went on this show and he's like, listen, you guys are done. You're over. Like, cable news is done. Network news is done. I totally agree with him because the action is over here. And I guess he has a podcast too. And I mean, this is just a whole different ballgame. And this is the future. It absolutely, positively is the future. And so cable companies, network news companies, for a variety of structural reasons, right, within the business itself, which we've talked about, but also from an authenticity standpoint. Charlemagne's like, nobody trusts you guys. I mean, you guys kind of suck, right? And so she's like, what are you talking about? Take a look.
Now that Trump has won, you say that you don't think cable news will ever truly cover him honestly again. Why?
Well, not even just cable news, no network. Nobody, because they didn't do it before, so why would they do it now? They're scared to death.
What
He's the
about
president of the United States of America.
Have you watched The View?
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. Sonny, I saw you have to apologize a couple times last week, so somebody's coming with some notes from downstairs.
I'm not apologizing.
Okay.
I'm making a legal note as an attorney of law.
Because you know we have a petty president, our incoming,
yes,
that is going to be very litigious.
Who is litigious, but that doesn't mean that's not a mistake.
We check ourselves.
Yeah, we check ourselves. I don't know as I'm so sure about that. You actually say a lot of things that are incorrect all the time, which is why they have to have a lawyer type person sitting there in the control room policing them. And so Charlemagne's right. In other words, their day has come and gone because they're not authentic and they're not real and they're not actually telling the truth. They're just giving a certain narrative that I guess they think people want to hear or USAID is paying for. That actually hasn't come out. See, I'll give myself a check, right? You know what? I always tell you the truth. And yes, we have learned, thanks to Elon Musk and his team, that a lot of money was going to a lot of news organizations, including AP, including Reuters, including the New York Times, including Politico. And before Politico tries to say, oh, no, it was just for our subscriptions, let me tell you, nobody has a $10,000 a pop subscription to Politico, except for government workers that were paying $8.2 million, interestingly enough, in an election year for them. I mean, Bloomberg, we can talk about it because there's proprietary information there. Trust me, there's nothing that you want $10,000 a year for over at Politico. Anyway, Joy's having a hard time with this because, you know, she thinks they are great. They are just wonderful. Like, what is this other stuff out there? These podcasts, these streamers, like, who are they? What are they? They're just a bunch of garbage as far as she's concerned, she told us.
That's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
we're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, you know, the legal note here. But we went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like, I guess, like dinosaur type of animals, roamed the earth when people did. So this is the type of really, really bad information that's going out there.
Well, in defense, there are some really good news.
It's possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when dinosaurs were here.
There are.
Joe Rogan believes in dragons. Joe Rogan believes in dragons. Joe Rogan believes in dragons.
I'm sorry, I had to play that on a loop. Joe did respond to Joy and said, you know, he sort of explained that they were having an in-depth conversation. Because, by the way, his show is 3 hours and it's just conversation. And he was remarking on how it's sort of very interesting that there's these, like, mythological type dragons throughout art, right, in history. And what did that suggest, et cetera. So they had this long-winded conversation about that, from which Joy took away, okay, he believes in dragons, which he doesn't, but was commenting on how there was something in the human psyche because you had seen this for so long. He also said, look, she's very worried about losing her job. And as a result, she's lashing out. She doesn't understand. She wants to try and undermine anyone who's doing anything different, because this is a whole new space that it's extremely threatening. It's very, very threatening. So Charlamagne making it clear, Joe Rogan having, also made it clear, and yours truly making it clear that Joy Behar, it's coming to an end. So you know what? I'm really glad that you put your house on the market in the Hamptons. Sag Haber, $10.5 million for her little 4,000 square foot Victorian. $10.5 million. I mean, go figure. But I think she knows. I think she knows that it's kind of run its course. And I'm not sure that that show actually can stay in business. In part, yes, because of people like Brendan Carr at the FCC and Donald Trump, who's not willing to put up with this nonsense. And in part because of shows like this. And thank you for subscribing and sharing and liking. And the ratings are just amazing. And we're getting numbers because you guys are tuning in, because it is authentic and it is real. And we have a way of connecting that, frankly, you just don't have in network television. And so that all matters. And so they're increasingly becoming more and more and more irrelevant.